Okay, so have a nice day, everyone, my dear students. For today, um, we will be going to, in this video, I will be going to explain to you everything, which is all about the decision theory. So let's actually take it one by one. In that way, you could be able to understand how does it work. So for this case here, decision theory is concerned with making decisions under conditions of complete certainty about the future outcomes and under conditions such that we can make some probability about what will happen in the future. So, a systematic approach to making decisions under uncertainty and risk, it provides framework for evaluating choices, considering possible outcomes and selecting the optimal course of action. So if we are using this decision theory, of course, you can definitely check the optimal solution in the future. If you were able to use the decision theory um, steps, or having the consideration using those criteria of decisions theory, you could be able to come up with a certain solution or optimal solutions in the future. That will be, since your goal here is to find the optimal solution as well. So let's actually consider um, the steps as well. So the steps for that, there will be you have to clearly define the problem, list all the possible alternative events that may occur. You have to determine all possible outcomes, and then you have to identify the profit or the loss of each combination of alternatives, events, and outcomes. You have to choose one mathematical decision theory model as well, and you have to apply the model and make the decision. So let me go ahead and take it one by one though. So for clearly defining the problem, this is the foundational step where you precisely identify and articulate the data, the specific issue requiring a decision. This is a well-defined problem statement ensures focus and direction for, for the entire decision-making process. That means to say that here in this particular step, you are checking, or your aim is to identify what will be your main goal, what will be the problem. So you've actually tried to identify right there. Should you expand your computer cafe by purchasing new sets of devices, something like that? It could be, diba? So you wanted to purchase five new sets of computer, 10 or whatsoever. It's good. It could be like that, or you're defining the problem. So list all the possible alternative events um, that may occur. Of course, you have to brainstorm and document every potential course of action or the scenario that could address the definition, the defined problem. So this comprehensive listing ensures no viable option is overlooked. So in this case, you have to identify what will be those alternatives, those everything. You have to break it down. And for example, for that, you have to maintain current capacity, or like if the possible alternative for if you wanted to expand your capacity for the computer cafe, if it is moderate expansion, if it is aggressive, something like that. So if moderate expansion, you have to purchase 10 units. If aggressive, you have to purchase 15 units. It depends on the demand itself. So something like those. And the next step will be they determine all the possible outcome. Here then, for each identified alternative, systematically outline all the potential results that might occur. So in this step, you have to make sure everything was really um you were able to create a complete picture of possible consequences. It could be if there will be high customer demands, it will also lead to your computer cafe right now will lead to full utilization. If you do have that kind of structure, if you do have only 10 personal computer in your cafe, of course, it may lead to full utilization, and that's why you really need to expand in aggressive manner, diba? And for low demand as well, it will result to like idle resources, or it will not be fully utilized, something like that. And for the next steps, you have to identify the profit or the loss of each combination of alternatives, event, and the outcomes. So in this stage, you have to evaluate and quantify every alternative outcome, pairs advantages like the profits or the benefits itself, the disadvantages, the losses, or the cost. So this financial analysis enables you to enables objective comparison. Say for example, you want to purchase 10 units of computer that may lead to 35,000 profit if in medium demand, for example, in that scenario. And but there will be 15,000 loss if the demand is low as well. So it's something like that. You were able to identify the profit and the loss for in this case. So afterwards, there will be choosing one mathematical decision theory model. Absolutely, there is a lot of decision theory model that we will begin to identify later on as well. Those criteria we'll begin to use. You have to select an appropriate analytical framework based on the problem's nature and available data. So let me just say, if that is, excuse me, if you want to maximize the profit, so you can use expected monetary value or expected value of perfect information. It depends on the stage for that one. We will begin to deal with that later. And apply the model and make the decision for the step 6. In this stage, you have to implement the chosen model to analyze all alternatives and their outcomes systematically. So the model's calculation will certainly generate data-driven insight leading to an optimal decisions recommendation. So in this stage, if you're able to calculate using those decision theory model, of course, afterwards, you can definitely check or you can definitely compare the each criteria or each of the alternatives that you do have, what will be the best, what will be the optimal solutions that you may that certainly are there. So for example, in your expected monetary value, you can somewhat select the option 2, something like that among the 3 options. So it will be vague for now, but we'll begin to illustrate that in the next slides. So there will be types of decisions as well. So the common types of decision will be the deterministic decision, then the decision making under uncertainty, and decision making under risk. When we say deterministic decision, they are the decisions which is absolutely made under certainty. Everything was known, where outcomes are known for certain. So that means to say everything was fully defined. The decision has perfect information already about the alternatives, the states of nature, and their outcomes was really there. There is no ambiguity at all. So regarding the consequences of each choices, so everything is clearly there. So the next will be the decision making under uncertainty when the probabilities of outcomes are absolutely known, but the outcomes themselves are uncertain. That is to say, you as a decision maker, you already knows the possible outcome of each alternative, but lack of precise information about the probabilities of those outcome of these outcomes. So you have to, you're absolutely aware of the different state or the nature or events that may occur, but it's somewhat difficult to estimate the probabilities. So it's okay for that one. Everything was defined. However, there's no specific identification, something. And for decision making under risk, when probabilities of outcomes are not known precisely, but some probabilistic assessment can be made. So that means to say in this stage, it involves situation where the decision maker has some knowledge or estimation, or they estimate about the probabilities of different outcomes, which is associated with each alternative. So we'll be going to check that. We do have a certain example here. So suppose that there is a specific example here about that production planning. So in this production planning, a production planning that is considered as a deterministic decision where a manufacturing company decides to produce 1,000 units of a product per month based on known demand and forecast. So, and production capacity. So there is certainty in that part in that example, right? So the demand and production capabilities was clearly determined. So let me just say in this particular stage right now, that is a deterministic decision because of course all the variables, the demand forecast and the production capacity are known with certainty. That is clearly stated. There is no uncertainty or randomness in that input or in that outcomes. So the exact result, which really produce 1,000 units monthly, so can be precisely predicted based on the fixed parameters. So that was there, absolutely. The next will be inventory replenishment. So for this one right now, for inventory replenishment, that is also known as deterministic. So a retail store manager orders a specific quantity of merchandise from a supplier to replenish shelves based on historical sales, data, and current inventory levels. So this is deterministic. The decisions of how much to order is based on known sales patterns and stock levels without uncertainty about demand or supply. Let me just say that is deterministic because the order quantity is calculated using the exact historical sales data. There is a basis which is the previous data. Current inventory levels are precisely known there. There is no uncertainty in demand forecast as well or into the supplier delivery. All variables were fixed and predictable. So the decision yields one certain outcome based on these known inputs that you do have there. Now, the next will be the decision making under uncertainty. So in this given thing right now, for this example, new product launch decision. Imagine you are a product manager in a consumer goods company tasked with deciding whether to launch a new product line. You have conducted market research and gathered data, but there are uncertainties regarding consumer demand, competitive response, and market acceptance. That means to say, there, that is decision making under um, uncertainty because the critical factors like the consumer's demand and the competitors' reactions are unpredictable. So the market research provides estimates, but there's no guaranteed outcomes. That was not there. So the product success depends on multiple known variables that can't be precisely measured or controlled. So the decision carries inherent risk since, the results can be determined with certainty beforehand, diba? So, that is the decision making under uncertainty. Let's move on to the decision making. Um, this is the explanation. Decision making under uncertainty because the outcome of the decision, whether to launch the new product, are not known with certainty due to various uncontrollable factors in the market environment. So that is correct. So here, for the investment portfolio allocation, imagine you are a portfolio manager. This is a specific example for under risk. So allocating a client and an investment funds across different asset classes. There will be a stocks, bonds, and real estate investment trust or the REITs. You have there the historical data and market analysis as well. That provides probabilities and expected returns for each asset class, but there is still uncertainty about future market performance. So imagine you are a portfolio manager tasked with, I'm so sorry, this is na-double siya. So, it's actually duplicated. So this will be, excuse me, the stocks right there is equals to the historical data, indicates a 60% chance of earning a 1% return. So that is the allocation. There is a 30% of earning 5 percent in return and 10% chance of 5% loss. So for the bonds, there is historical data suggests a 70% chance of earning 4% return and 30% chance of earning 1% in return. For REITs, there is a market analysis that shows 50% chance of earning and 8% in return and 50% chance of earning 2% in return. So for this one right now, that is decision making under risk because the manager has the access to the data. There is uncertainty regarding the future performance of the investment, but the probabilities have been assigned to each possible outcome. So therefore, the future performance is uncertain and the probabilities of each outcome are known. So we can certainly say that that is under risk because while future market performance is somewhat uncertain, historical data already provides known probabilities for different outcomes. So like those 60%, kato mga 1%, and the decision maker can quantify the potential risk and the rewards as well for each of those asset classes using those probabilities. So therefore, unlike pure uncertainty, the scenario allows for expected value calculation to guide the allocation decision. But here then, it's somewhat under decision under risk. So let's actually move on. So this will be the criteria that we'll be going to follow with. There will be an expected monetary value or the EMV or the expected value. There will be expected value of perfect information, which will be the expected value, the EVPI. There will be a minimizing expected loss, which you are minimizing the expected loss. Of course, there will be a certain calculation that we'll begin to tackle in the next videos as well. So Maximin, we are maximizing the minimum payoff. And for Maximax, we are maximizing the maximum payoff. So for there will be minimax regret, there will be expected utility, satisficing, and decision trees. So we will be going to discuss that in the next video one by one. So see you there.